market update. I guess where to begin. So had a couple of trades yesterday, as I mentioned in the recap. Started deviating from the plan I talked about in the morning, so I stopped trading. Big thing with that, I said yesterday, trading like a drunken monkey, which I think is a good analogy for the fact that when you're deviating from your plan, you just start making decisions based on gut with no rhyme or reason. I mean, you have a reason, obviously. Typically, you have a reason for why you're doing it. I looked at it yesterday, and we had come back above 3,000, came back, retested 29.90, and was pretty evident we're going to see an upward trend. But it wasn't based on anything other than some things I saw in the marketplace, but it wasn't based on a specific trading plan like we've talked about here, which is the whole purpose of the small account challenge is to show that if we're patient and we utilize a specific plan over time, we should be able to, double, triple, etc. that money. And by deviating from that and trading things that I'm seeing in the marketplace on maybe shorter time frames and scalping, it totally blows that out of the water. So I stopped it yesterday. I stopped trading on that account yesterday and left it where it was. So the goal here of everything that we're doing is to go forward and show you that consistency works. Simple plan, consistency, that's what it's all about. So there are going to be days where we may not have trades. Like today, for example, is a great example. We've got a mixed bias again coming into the end of the day. So until we get through all of this news that's coming up, we may not have any trading opportunities, and that's okay. There may be days in a row where we don't have trading opportunities. It's less about taking trades and more about following a plan, because if we're consistent with our execution, consistent with the money management, everything else comes in and follows suit. The money comes over time, right? It's that old adage of, would you rather have $1 million today or, start with a penny and double your balance every day for the next 30 days. When we look at these short-term moves like this and get caught up in, oh man, there's just a big move yesterday, or there's a big move today, or whatever it might be, we're putting blinders on and we're looking what might be possible with this one outlier instead of looking at what's possible when we follow a consistent process. And the challenge is when we start focus on these outliers, these things that are happening like right now, and losing sight of the bigger picture, we start reinforcing some of the bad habits through our subconscious, going, oh, it's okay to deviate from the plan because today we deviated from the plan, we won. Or it's okay to do this because, I justified it in this way, and that makes it okay to deviate from my plan. That's how everything ends up starting that process of A, chasing the market, B, over trading, C, jumping from system to system to system, because at that point, you don't really have a plan. Once you start deviating from it, you really don't have a plan anymore. So focus on the plan. So with all that said, the purpose of that is just to let you know today, there's not a whole lot for us to do. There's a lot of news coming up this morning right out of the gate. So, Forex, for example, which we would normally look at taking a trade right as the market opens, U.S. foreign exchange session begins at 8 a.m. Eastern time, so it just started. But we've got high impact news coming up in 30 minutes. So that takes it off the table for an open. So there's no Forex to trade right now. The other markets, here in the futures market and in crypto, both of those are going to see volatility today as we get through this news, core retail sales. This production report may have an impact, but the biggie is here at 9 a.m. with Mr. Powell testifying. This big move here was driven by some of the raw truth that Powell dropped in following the FOMC rate statement and into the Q&A last week. We'll see what happens today. Is he gonna just make a statement and shut his mouth, or is he gonna which he can't. There's going to be Q&A. So what'll happen with that? I don't know. Is he going to put a really nice positive spin on it and wrap it up in a bow, and the market will shoot 200 points up? Maybe. Maybe he's is very realistic and talks about kind of what's coming and the stressors we're going to see by printing all this money. Maybe he'll talk about that. I don't know. And the market will plummet. No one knows. No one has a crystal ball. No one knows what's going to happen. So long and short of that is we just need to look at a plan that gives us a quantitative reason for trading, and then follow that plan. So right now over here on the S&P, for example, our 4-hour bias is down. We've got the green, which is my short term, is below my red, which is the long term. A longer term is a 20 and a 100. But we've broken above it. Yesterday when we broke above 3,000, which was way down here, started moving up, and then now we've broken above our 100 moving average. So there's argument that could say, well, we're technically now in a long bias. But for me, I wait for this to cross. Maybe I'm a little bit late to the game. Doesn't really matter, because ultimately over the long term we're looking for trends that we can follow with. And when we've got whether you're in it now or you're in it tomorrow, it's not that big of a difference, right? So anyway, the bias until this flips for me, until this crosses over for me, the bias is still short right here on the 4-hour. On the 30-minute though, we're certainly in a long bias. So 30-minute bias is long, 4-hour bias is short. They're mixed. We've also got really high impact news. If there was ever a reason not to trade, this is it. Obviously the biases are mixed. So that automatically tells us, hey, let's just sit on our hands until the biases align with one another. But also, given the fact that we've got a huge unknown with what's going to come from this, another reason to sit on our hands until we see what's actually going to happen in the marketplace. So, with news, I watch the news. I don't watch it with the thought of listening for sound bites and trying to take action. I just want to know when the news ends. I do want to listen to it because I want to know what's happening. And again, I try to separate my personal bias from the market, because that's the only way you're ever going to trade something consistently is, let the system do this, trade the system. But you're always going to have your own personal bias. It's important to recognize that. So I'm going to watch it and know what's going on here. Most importantly, though, to know when it ends, and then we can start seeing what the market's doing post news, and then see where, as the market just screamed up, 4-hour then eventually crosses and it confirms with what the 30-minute is doing, or it plummets and the 30-minute comes into alignment with the 4-hour, and then we can take action there. So that's the plan. Sit on my hands until after news and see what the biases say. If the biases are aligned, then we start looking for the pullback opportunities to take trades based on the directionality of that aligned bias. If the bias is if post news things are all mixed up and we're not aligned with any kind of a directional bias, then we just simply don't trade. We wait until we have an alignment that allows us to say, okay, we've got the markets moving now, they're moving in this direction, and we're able to take an action on that. All right. So really quick call this morning. Not a whole lot to go through as far as levels or anything of that nature, because really at this point all bets are off. Tables are closed until after Mr. Powell testifies here in just a bit. So we'll come back on this afternoon I won't come on and do a recap if there aren't any trades, but post news, if I look at some trading opportunities because we have the proper setup, because we've got aligned bias here, then I'll take those trades and talk about them. If there aren't any trades, of course, like I said, no trades. We'll just come back tomorrow morning and start over again. All right, so that's it for today. Have a great day, and trade safe. Have a plan, trade a plan, stick to the plan. Man, it's all about being in love with the process, not the outcome. The outcome will work itself out as long as we're focused on the process, right? So